Okay, so I have something really interesting that I wanted to share. Questions that everybody has. I've been having so much fun. If you remove the carbohydrates, you remove the diabetes. That's simple. Engaging in an ancestrally accurate, biologically appropriate, species specific, realizing that we are an obligate hypercarnivore and eating that way. Diabetes is gone tomorrow and it never comes back. You never have to think about it again, ever, for the rest of your life. It's over. Very, very simple. By eating food. Food is a substance by which an organism derives nutrition from. For us, that is not plants. For us, that is meat and fat of animals exclusively. And when I say us, I mean human beings. For 350,000 years that we've existed on this planet, have eaten nothing but meat and fat of animals. And throughout the development, the 4.5 million year development of our species, have been eating a very exclusively carnivorous type of diet. So when we start eating appropriately, when we start eating food, issues that we're having, problems that we're having, disease, chronic disease epidemics and accelerated aging issues that we've been having completely ameliorated. So this has been a lot of fun for me. One of the questions that I get all the time is, what about berries? What about wild rice? What about our traditional foods, the corns and beans and squash? And I just want to say right off the bat that this is all inappropriate. We are a carbohydrate intolerant species. We're not designed to consume any amount of carbohydrates ever. You have the activation of the Randle cycle. You have hyperglycemia issues. You have the activation of the Randle cycle that is responsible for a massive immune cascade that results in huge amounts of inflammation that generate and drive every inflammatory disease, the aging process. You have hyperglycemia just generally, but upon engaging in any amount of carbohydrates, your blood sugar goes up. And where does your blood sugar go? Insulin sends it into your muscles, right? Where it's burned? No, because we're eating plants. And so that sugar is sent into your endothelial cells. It's sent into your blood vessels, and you have cardiovascular disease. It's sent into your kidneys and you have kidney disease. It's sent into your nerves and you have neuropathies. You start losing feeling in your feet, and all of these things result from any engagement in carbohydrates. There's an incredible amount of damage associated with that. So the short answer is that wild rice, corn, beans, squash, maple syrup, berries are carbohydrates, and they are all inappropriate to our biology every which way that you look at it. So for any question, any problem that you're trying to solve, one of the first steps is to understand that concept within its own language, history, and context. I think are three really important ideas. And so let's talk about the contextualization of plant foods from a human perspective, looking at the fact that we've been eating nothing but meat and fat of animals, primarily predating on megafauna for 340,000 years that we've been existing. Mammoths, mastodons, beavers the size of cars, deer that are much, much, much larger than a moose. All of these massive animals were the primary substrate for our bodies, for nutrition, for energy, for everything that we need. And we did that almost exclusively right up until 10,000 years ago when they went extinct. When they begin to go extinct, we're losing our primary fuel and food and nutrition source. And so we have to make a switch from fat from animals to carbohydrates from plants. So what happens is the megafauna go extinct, our food source goes extinct, and their prey, plants, they lose their predator. Plants now have no more predator, and what happens? They're able to grow. Now it becomes easy when we see blueberries. There's a lot more blueberries because their predators are gone. I have so many people in Espanola, Sudbury, Elliott Lake, blueberry harvesters who get so mad at one black bear who goes through in the middle of the night and eats all of the blueberries. All of their blueberry patches completely decimated. One black bear, or maybe a small family of black bears. There's not that many black bears in Ontario. and especially in those parts, they're a very, very unhealthy population. Imagine a healthy, thriving population of black bears. How much blueberries are going to be destroyed, decimated. And you take again, another piece of contextualization is looking at waterfowl. Waterfowl's favorite food, doesn't matter the species, they love eating wild rice. And you imagine, 80 years ago, it is described in southern Ontario when the waterfowl pass Lake Ontario and they land here, is that they're landing in such massive flocks that they're able to block out the sun. They block out the sun and make a normal, bright, sunny day at noon hour look like midnight in a new moon when there's no moon. It's that dark. I can't imagine that amount of birds landing in this part of the world. And I can't imagine what would happen to the wild rice populations. the rice beds would be completely gone. I've been in communities where wild rice harvesters, they hear a couple honks from Canada geese in the sky, and they're on their quads and they're flying out to their rice bed as fast as possible, shooting guns in the air to scare the Canada geese away from disturbing the wild rice patch. Because it's very well known that a little flock of Canada geese can completely decimate a wild rice bed, like in a very, very short amount of time. Now, and that's now. Imagine with flocks of Canada geese that are blocking the sun. And imagine passenger pigeons, a species of bird that used to be here that went extinct, flocks of millions in the sky. It's like a river in the sky, and their favorite food being wild rice, and their opportunity to completely destroy this food. So when those predators are removed, their prey is able to grow and thrive. And their prey is plants. So now we have this, it's out of our natural history and the natural context of our environment. This is completely unnatural to have this amount of food, not food. Plants are not food. It's completely unnatural to have this amount of plant stuffs that available to us. And so for berries, for wild rice, for maple syrup, and all of these traditional foods, they're very, very new to us to be observing these foods at this quantity. We have to understand the context of our ancestral environment. That is an environment that has megafauna, and their prey is plant foods. So I think that it's very easy. Obviously, there's no way that anybody would ever be able to prove this, probably ever. Yeah, so it's very, very hard for me to understand or to think about the environment of our ancestors as being very, very, very rich in berries and in wild rice, and that there would have been a lot of competition for us to be able to enjoy some of these foods, considering the amount of competition that we have now. With the amount of wildlife, greatly reduced amount of wildlife that we have now. Just doesn't make any sense. And so I just kind of wanted to share a little idea as to what and then you contrast this now with, our ancestors ate strawberries. And so we go to the grocery store and we have strawberries the size of apples. Like, this is completely ridiculous. That fruit is fake. Everything that you can possibly get inside the grocery store is fake. It's been created. We are living in a zoo that we created for ourselves, and that cannot be understood or justified as a traditional food in every which way that you look at it. So understand the consequence of engaging in any amount of carbohydrates. Very, very severe, very, very inappropriate. And understand the competition that we must have had to be able to utilize any amount of plant foods. A lot of competition out there. And sometimes it's much easier just to let the geese land in the wild rice bed and harvest those geese. Much more energy involved in this. I think the post-encounter return rate for wild rice is like maybe between 5,000 and 8,000 calories per hour. And the post-encounter return rate for, out of all plants, it's going to be among the highest. But a Canada goose is like 60,000 calories per hour. What are we going to invest our time in? Wild rice, or let them land in the rice bed and harvest the geese? What makes more sense? If you have children, if you have families, and you have stories to pass on, traditions to learn and understand and observe, so I think we're going to be spending our time with the geese and the 60,000 calories every hour versus the 3, 5, 8,000, whatever it ends up being. People really distort these ideas, but I just wanted to be able to share, just kind of at least give us an idea, like how do we contextualize the environment of our ancestors, because it's going to be different than what we're observing now. What we're observing now is totally new. And it was birthed. The environment that we're living in now was birthed out of necessity. It was birthed from a survival situation. And we did and are doing what we need to be able to survive. That is agriculture. Survival has nothing to do with health and well-being. And so take a second and look at all of the folks who begin eating appropriately, begin eating food that is where we are designed to derive all the nutrients that we require, being from the meat and fat of animals exclusively. When we begin engaging in a proper, biologically appropriate, obligate hypercarnivorous diet, we are thriving, we are healing, we are experiencing a tremendous amount of energy that we can dedicate to great things. So I just kind of wanted to share a little bit of encouragement and our responsibility to contextualizing properly the environment of our ancestors, understanding that it's very different than what we're observing now. See you guys later.